Sorry, I skipped around in that video because I have so much to say. I'm so sorry. I do it every time. I'm going to start with this back to the priestly and the earthly throne I was talking about the kingdoms, okay? Okay. There were seven main fallens, your seven archangels, okay? All good has a bad. Everything heavenly has the opposite, okay? So, every line, these angels, the lines, you have your captains, and then you have underneath them, and underneath them, and underneath them, and it just goes, okay? But when we talked about the sevenfold spirits, um, it's the menorah. They're all of Jesus. They're his appendages. Okay, there's appendages. They're angels. They're the seven archangels. Okay, they're the seven seals. It's the seven mountains. It's the seven churches. It's all him. It's all the same. It's all, but you have two, two. You have two thrones. You have an earthly throne and you have a heavenly throne. Okay. Now remember, we are in the cave. Okay. We are, it's earth, but there's this above us. Okay. But you have Jesus. That, you know how we know this is right? Because it gives us the answer to what was said in the Bible. Remember when Jesus, he says, they want me to take, they son of David, they wanted their Messiah, okay, to take over the throne of David. That he was not, he was not going to do that. Okay. It was when Pilate said to him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Or it's when he put that on his head. He named him that, the king of the Jews. Okay, he gave him that earthly throne title. Okay, it just all it shows, all this shows it was the Son of Man title. See, David isn't who we think he is either, because it didn't come from what we've been taught to know that came from David's side. It was really through Mary's. Okay, it was really Mary's was the blessed side, or the right side, or, but we've had our eyes on the side of on the lineage of David. Okay, which is it all meets in the middle. It all meets in the middle. Okay, David and Solomon, it's almost too good to even handle. Okay, David and Solomon. That, remember I told you how many months ago that I kept saying there's something, but I didn't know what it was. I did not know what it was. There was something between David and Solomon that was the key to it. It was the turn lock. It was the key. It was something between David and Solomon, but I didn't know what it was. I can tell you about that one. That one's just too good. I can't even stand that one. But back to Jesus. This was why he wasn't going to take that. It's between the Son of Man and Son of God. Okay, the Jews, the Pharisees, and the Sadducees, they didn't accept him. He went to the temple to preach, to teach, because this is your priestly side, right? Yes. Okay. Now, in the temple, in his father's house, they listened to him, even at young age, 12. They listened to him. He had this great knowledge. In the temple, they were all about him when he was younger, okay? Now, when he was younger, before that baptism with John, okay? See something, remember I kept saying something changed there? I didn't know what it was, though. I didn't know what it was. Something changed. But the temple priest, they listened. I mean, we all know this, okay? He couldn't take the throne and you know? So here he is, older, right? Now he's doing his ministry. But the priest and said they wouldn't even hear him. They didn't have no hearing for him, nothing. They weren't going to hear. Now Nicodemus did, okay, but I mean, because they were waiting for somebody to take over the throne of David, the earthly throne. He was accepted in one way and he wasn't accepted another way. And why? Because one saw that he was the Son of God and one saw that he was the Son of Man. Okay? The Son of Man is the earthly king. Yes. The Son of God is the heavenly priest. Right? Yes. How can you make this up? How? How do people even, I mean, this is what it is. Okay? This is what it is. There were 70. Oh, I mean 7. Okay, so we have already talked about the fallen and the numbers of that, okay? This is all mixed together with your 10 virgins, your 144,000, all of it, okay? It is the 7. We have the 10. After I watched it on the last video, I realized what I did with that, because I just get so excited here. Your 7 mountains, your 7 hills that Babylon sits on. I'll get into that one too. But mountains are angels. So the 7 mountains, we're going to look at, is it the 7 continents? It could be. They are not entombed under it, under their areas that their kingdoms, where they rule. They are entombed above it, not below it, above it. Where are we? Okay, I'm saying we are in that cave. I was thinking it was the valley, could be the valley, but I mean, we are in that cave that Adam and Eve were sent to after they were sent out of the garden. That's where we're at. I don't know how that worked, but that's where we're at. Okay, so is that shield? I don't know. I don't know, but that's where we're at. It's not like everybody thinks. That's why everybody's having all this confusion about, is it a flat Earth? Is it round? What's NASA doing? Something ain't right. Something ain't right because something ain't right. Okay? But we just blindly, this is what he meant about just the sheep just being totally let off the cliff. Okay? Just boom. This is why. He foretold all of this. Okay? Because we're so follow what we've been taught. It's laziness. It is laziness. And you can sit and fight and argue and go on, but see, it's your salvation. It's your place for an eternity. And if you don't do your homework, if you don't go and learn, and he'll teach you, but you have to let down your walls. You cannot go learning to the beginning, the origins. Again, 2 years ago, what was I on that for? How long? I just knew we had to go to the beginning, to the origins. Got to go to the origins. Got to go to the beginning. I didn't know why. Now I just don't know why. He was giving us a gift. He was giving us a gift, a huge gift. Not everybody gets woken. you know? He was waking us up. He was removing the scales, the fish scales. You know, both the serpent and the fish have scales, right? Right. Everything is at two side. Remember I talked about it? The two brothers, the two side. Okay, it's what it is. It's the left and the right, but it's the two sides. However you want to look at it. He's in charge of it all. There's angels on both sides, and both of them reflect. Okay, it's this is why you have the goat and the goat and the sheep, or the ram and the sheep. Okay, it's just like you have the fish and you have the snake, the serpent. They both have scales. Okay, so scales got to come down from both. Both. One rules over the waters, one rules over the land. Okay? It's so good, I can't even take it. This isn't even something you can deny. Okay? Because unless you don't have any common sense, which I know a lot of people don't, but I mean, truly, how do you deny that? You can't. So until you can open up your eyes and see this, it is laid out. Boom. Okay? See the lilies of the field. We look at lilies as beautiful. We look at lilies as the good thing, right? Okay, the lilies are the other. I mean, they're on, to call it the left, because everybody seems to think the left is, the right was good for the righteous, right? Excuse me. So the lilies were not on the right side, put it that way. But look how he dressed them. I'll get into that too. I mean, he just, all of it, boom. So back to my mountains though. So these are your seven, these are your seven angels. Okay. These are your kingdoms. These are your rules. These are your kings. These are that rule the nations below. These are through time. These are your good and your bad kings. This is your switch of authority. Okay, everyone is allowed to rule for so long, 500 years, I think it is. But they, and this is your battles. This is your constant battle, right? These are your seven. Okay, then from these seven goes on down, because then they have under them, right, under them, then this is where you're going to have the 10. Okay, and it's the 10 brothers against the 2 brothers. Okay, so we have 10 kingdoms that in the earthly teaching that everybody, it's the core, it's the coalition, it's the new world order. Okay, whatever, it's those 10 kingdoms that everybody knows about, everybody's talked about. Okay, that's Jacob's 10 sons. Okay, then you have 2 other ones though, Benjamin and Joseph. Who's that? It's 2 brothers. So again, we've talked about the story of Joseph. Joseph it's the same wording, same wording, same pattern as when Lucifer was thrown out. Okay, is Joseph's is the same wording from Joseph's brothers, what they did to him. Okay, and we already talked about this. He was put down, but when he was put down into that well with snakes and scorpions, okay, sold into slavery into Egypt. He became right-hand man to the enemy. Okay, he wore a disguise. He looked like the Egyptians, dressed like them, married an Egyptian, had 2, part Egyptian children. But we all know his heart was always Joseph. His heart was always for the Lord. He never bowed down to any other gods, because he knew the Lord had sent him there. And for whatever reason, he kept his faith, okay? But at the end, when it was all done, it was Joseph, okay? And they hugged it out. And there's your story, okay? They hugged it out. Joseph is another brother. Then you have Benjamin, okay? And these two are together, okay? And they're against the 10. So these are your battles, okay? It's Judah, and again Judah, there's Israel, Judah, and then the tribe of Benjamin. Remember what I said about the tribe of Benjamin? I didn't even know. I know nothing about the tribe of Benjamin. I said, we're the tribe of Benjamin. I didn't know anything about them. I didn't know anything about the tribe of Benjamin. So when the Lord has said that, I went and studied it, right? Lord favors Benjamin, okay? He's the strength between the shoulders. So I'm not going to get into that, but this is where you have to understand this lineup, okay? This lineup. Higher and trickle down and go on. So, these are your 7 seals. These are your 7 churches. But every one has every male has a female, okay? Every male has a female. So they have a counter. So there is, up here, there is the other half to this, what's here, okay? And that's up there. Does that make sense? We just assume it's always male. And I believe Jesus is the feminine. Okay? That he's the feminine spirit. Because he's the light. Okay? I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to get into that. I don't know. I shouldn't have said that. I don't know. One of them, but one of them's the male, one's female. One. Okay? It's a light. I'll get into that later. Okay? But, so this is what you got going. Okay? And it's not here. It's not going to be here. It's going to be up there. That's where it's going to go. Okay? Now, many of them have already had their time and their rule. Right? So, you have, okay, here we go. In the other video, I said we were in that midpoint of the Old Testament and New Testament. I shouldn't have said that, because we're not quite mid in the middle there, okay? Because it's following the Old Testament while we're here. We're still in the Old Testament while we're here. See, all the wars, especially in those last 5 minor prophets, there's your thing right there. There's your patterns right there. Those are all your patterns. But it's all going to play up there. It's all going to play up there. That's going to be when everybody's up there, Earth, okay? But it's paradise. I don't know how to say this. There's where Solomon's temple is. Okay? Oh. Everything's going to play out. Okay? Or is playing out in the spiritual realm. Because this is angelic. Okay? And it's playing out up there. Okay? So, that is going to Okay. All right. Let me go back here. Let me go back. Let me go back. All right. The peace and security, you can look at this earth and there's never going to be peace and security here. No one's that those words are not going to come out of anybody's mouth, and you can see that. Okay, where where would you think that you would have peace and security? Where? When you went up, right? You think in paradise you're going to have peace and security, right? Right. But you're not. That is it's the Exodus. Okay, there you go. Thank you, Lord. It's the Exodus. We are getting ready for the Exodus. Here you go, right now. Okay, reliving the Exodus. It's the Old Testament. Here we're going to go to the Old Testament, okay? We're going to live the Exodus. When, I talked about this last year, when the Israelites left Egypt, there was that leaven that came at the end, the dross that trickled in the tail of the people. Okay, the Jews, Israelites are men who were born of Jewish women, but were not Jews. That's what. Okay, they were in the tail. Okay, and this is your dross. They followed them into the desert, and they caused all of that. They followed him to the base of the mountain, right? And oh my gosh, remember we talked about going to the base of the mountain. That's what all this is about. Who knew? Who knew? When the Lord told me that, and I shared that with you guys. That's what it's about. That's totally what it's about. That dross, the troublemakers that started the whole golden calf thing. They were in that group. That's the leaven. Okay, they followed them out of Egypt. Okay, through the Red Sea, which I mean, and that is your waters that will part up here, because that's all water. You know that, right? So there is your parting. Okay, that the same thing happens. The leaven, the dross comes up. Okay, there, and then it goes on onto the temple. Okay, but that's what it is. Okay, now remember though, Pharaoh's men got drowned in the water. Pharaoh lived. Of course he did, because he had to, because it's going to show you at the end of Paul. Okay, it starts with Pharaoh. And Pharaoh, hardened his heart. But then at the end, he was like, his God is God. His God, he was beat. His God is God. He confessed. Okay? Pharaoh didn't die because he was the other brother to Moses. Even he wasn't the blood brother, he was his brother, right? But he did not die. His men all were drowned in the water, and water is what? Cleansing. Hello. But Moses didn't. Pharaoh didn't. Because, go all the way to the end of Paul, who was Saul, who had his name changed to Paul, okay, because he switched sides, right? Yeah. Paul was knocked off the horse. He was blinded, okay, and then 3 days, though he was healed, he was made to see. It's your forgiveness, it's your healing of Pharaoh at the beginning, okay? That's what that is. It's the same. It's your healing, okay? It's the other brother being healed. It's your prodigal son coming home. It's your it's the forgiveness, but it shows it's Pharaoh being knocked off of his horse and blinded, but healed. Okay, that's what all that is, and that's what Paul represents. And where did Paul want to preach at? Where was Paul? You know, it was in Jerusalem, but on his way to Damascus, and that's why this is so important. Um, Damascus, but Paul wanted to get to Rome to preach in Rome. Rome. All this is up there. It's your Babylonian kingdom. It's your Romans. Okay. Is it Egypt? Is it the Assyrians? See? It's Damascus. So follow where Paul went. Follow the story. Follow where Paul was knocked off. This is what you have to do. Paul started after the death, okay, of Jesus. Paul Paul was redeemed. Okay? Paul was blind, but now he could see. Follow the path where he was. It's on the road to Damascus. Okay? So, it was for the who's in Damascus in Syria, the Syrians. So, and the tail one is the very last one is Rome. Okay? And these are your in paradise on earth. These where are the areas that it's going to follow. These are the kingdoms that are there. Okay? So it's the same point fest here. It's the same thing. How would you know this? I mean, seriously. I don't even know where I was now. I don't even know where I left off at where I was before I went to that one. Because it's so good, I can't even stand it. Oh, the leaven. The leaven follows up. Okay? But this is all about the Exodus. It's all about the Exodus. And so, and the golden calf, exactly as I said last year. Who knew? I didn't know. That's what it's about. But that mountain. Moses. See, there's a throne up there. Okay? There's a God that we know. It's the God that everybody prays. It's the God that we know. There is a higher level. Okay? There's a higher spirit. It's this. That's the Father to the Son of Man. Okay? Son of God. Okay? The Father that we think we're praying to, or we think is the Creator, the God of the universe. That's a Son of God. It's His Father. Okay? It's the gold. He's the gold. Okay? He's infinite, but it's the Spirit. That's when we become one with Him. That is when we go and is in that full light. Okay? It's there's your difference. You're in the fullest, brightest light. Okay? The silver is the Son of Man. It's David, King David's father. Okay? It's King David's God. It is the Son of Man. It's his. It's that's what it is. It might have started out. See, that's why it's the God of the Old Testament. He started out jealous. He started out, there's no other God, other than me, and because he really thought he was the only one. But you can see at the beginning, his heart was hardened, and he says it through the whole Old Testament. His heart was hard, and he judged harshly. And this is why he said, oh, you know, but there's always a place where he said, but I will turn my heart back to you. I will turn my face back towards you. He was going to forgive him because his heart was softening. Okay, his heart was hardening, just like Pharaoh's heart hardened. Okay, but then it softened. Okay, it is all the kings that had that hardening, but yet somehow their heart softened. Okay, this is what all of this represents. Okay, what those stories in the Bible are telling you is telling you about God. Okay, um, uh, the God of paradise, the God of, it's our God, but it's not the creator, the all, God. Okay, so I know it's what it is, though. Okay, now, okay, he is on the throne, but this is the Old Testament God. Okay, and his heart, see, it was his hand. No, it was his hand. It was always the hand of God. The hand is the armies of God of the Old Testament. I mean, they were striking, right? And I remember I said the New Testament is the healing, all starting with Matthew, and of course it's the task. Did you ever notice he starts off with Matthew because Matthew was the tax collector? He starts off with the rebellious, or with the sinner. He's showing who's higher. He's showing the sinner, the tax collectors, who everybody looked down on. He was the first book there. It shows you where he put him. All this means, he teaches me through my sleep now. It's incredible. That's what all this means. But that right off again, it heals. And like I said, that all that healing, okay, is healing from the Old Testament. That is healing everything that was made hardened and judged by that hard heart. Okay, but he changed, softened, changed. Okay, this is so layered. He's not the same as he started out, because he's learned, he's seen, he's watched. It's not the same. Okay. All right. Moses. Moses was the one who gave the Israelites, and all through it, the Israelites are the slaves are spoken about in an animal type of condescending way, but they're always referred to the animals, the oxen, with the yokes on them, and they're always talked about as animals. What did they do? They made the bricks with the straw. In the mud. It just goes on and on and on. It all has to do with the animals in the ark and who we are, who they are, who everybody is. And I believe this is why the angels had to come down, and this is why the DNA had to be mixed. They had to do it. It had to be done in order to change us. Okay, however we were, we would have never been released. We would have never obtained the knowledge, okay, that needed to be done. All right. So again, whether that be Adam and Eve and what, I don't know, but in order to to get things right again. All that had to be done. Because see, pay attention. This is why, do you ever notice that the angels, that the cherubim, it's the four faces, okay, but one's man, and there it is right again. It's the four, there you go, it's another four of the archangels, okay, and it's the different animal faces, and then there's the face of man. This is all who, um, the Christ, you know, are who the Spirit of God came as. Okay, because it's all one. It's all from one. We're all from one. Okay, but all of these sons, or these the generals, they all trickle down. The angels are all, they might be different, but they're all the same. Okay, and everyone is a form of him, from Uriel to Michael to Gabriel. They're all a form of Jesus. They're all are a form of him. Okay, they have that role, and that's who they are. But they're all of him. So as they're doing it, it's really Christ doing it. Okay, because they're all from him. So it's all one. All right. So if one brother has them, the other brother has them. Okay, that's the way it is. One has them, the other brother. But remember, Moses had to stay on the mountain. We've talked about Moses' rod being a staff, a shepherd's staff, and a rod. Okay, don't keep your children from the rod. Right. Okay, the rod keeps us on the path. This is why when bad things happen to good people, okay, this is your blacksmith that comes in. Okay, the one that holds the rod. He's the blacksmith. He has to hammer. What do we have? Hammered gold. He has to hammer. That's when the trials and tests come in our life, and that's when things happen we don't understand, because we've opened doors. We're off the path, or we're very near off of it, and the Lord sends the blacksmith in to hammer us to get us back on that path. Okay, and then that's what the left does. Okay, the right carries the staff as the shepherd's staff. Okay, and he leads, you know, the sheep. Okay, he shepherds the sheep, while the left, the other, he has the rod, and he uses it. Okay, it's both. But what did Moses do? See, all this stuff is just huge. Moses hit that rock. Here's the rock. Rocks are stones. Rocks are, you know, the columns, pillars, stones. They're all angels. But the rock is Jesus. Rock is Jesus, right? You have an earthly rock and you have a heavenly rock. Moses, though, he split the rock. What else splits? The Mount of Olives, the Mount of Olives, it splits. Okay, the rock that Moses hit, it split. The water coming through, what it meant was, now the people who were in the wilderness, okay, at the base of the mountain, but in the wilderness, they were drinking one people were drinking water from two different rocks. Now you were going to get two different. What does water do? It nourishes you, right? It's the river of life. They were going to be drinking from a stream of water that was coming from two different places. It's your Ishmael, it's your Isaac, it's your two. There was your divide. There was your divide right there. That's why. That's why it's understanding, hitting and dividing that rock. It was Jesus divided. Okay? Jesus divided. It's your left and your right. He was divided now. Okay? He divided the rock. So now you have the feminine and the masculine. Okay? They're not one anymore. Okay? They're not getting water. They're not getting their cup full from one in the whole. They're getting their cup filled from two, okay? Which is not a whole. It's not together. It's not they're one. You have it coming from two different rocks. That's why we have the two different. I mean, I can't even take it. I can't even take it right now. I just really can't even take it. And that's what that means. Who did that? Who did that? The God on the throne. Okay? Up there. Okay? You can look at Moses. It tells the story by Moses going down in the basket. And what is a basket in the Bible? What does baskets mean? What do the baskets carry? Fish, bread. Baskets carry food. Baskets carry the word. Nourishment, the word. Moses going down the river Nile in a basket, he was the word. He was the food. Okay? Who was it sent to? The Egyptians. Egyptians. But Moses, at first, this is why this story is so important. Okay? Moses was born into slavery, but he was and the hiding of him and the length, okay, of how long Yoshebed was pregnant and how long they hid him, 3 months, but she had him after 6 months and 1 day. That 6 and 1 is throughout the whole entire Bible. It is a huge timing thing. And then they hid him for 3 months, okay? Okay. But I'll get back to that one. But down the river, Nile, in the basket, so he is the word, he is the nourishment, he is the bread. He's pulled out by Pharaoh's daughter. Pharaoh's sister, daughter, I don't know which one. Sometimes it's sister, sometimes it's daughter. We'll say sister, okay? But point is, he was raised and Pharaoh's favorite. He was, he was over Ramses, right? Yes, it was. Nefertiti. You ever notice too? She says, "But I am Egypt." Sorry. See, you just got to understand how huge this is, and who these females are, okay, and why they are so important, okay. It's all the other halves, all right. It's the other halves, but Moses grew up. But Moses was the conqueror. I mean, he went out to the other countries, and the bringing in the Ethiopian king and his daughter, okay, and presenting them in front of Pharaoh, and they brought all those gifts, but she gave Moses that huge jade or jasper or that whatever, that huge green stone, okay, that was around her neck. That is just like a huge piece here, okay. When she given that to him, and that king and princess of Ethiopia, that's Ethiopia, because this is your Solomon connection, because of Queen Sheba being from Ethiopia. Now you got to pull these two together, okay, and you got to match these stories, okay. This is your connection, okay, but you got to catch it. It's the little things I told you, just the little things. You got to catch that king and that princess from Ethiopia, okay, being brought into Pharaoh's court, giving Pharaoh. But Moses brought him in. See, Moses went out, though Moses was kind of a conqueror, okay? He went out and conquered. He went out with the armies, okay? He was the head of the army. He was the head of Pharaoh's army, all right? So that wasn't a good thing. But then he switched. See, his name didn't change, okay? But he switched. He was no longer that. He was now the builder of Pharaoh's cities. Okay, he was building the city of Pharaoh. Became the builder of that. This is so, you can't pass over these things. It tells you who he is. He represents the two. Okay, that's so important here. He represents, and him splitting that rock, and his whole birth and everything represents the two, the conqueror and the builder. So Moses could not go in. He had to stay on the mountain. Stay on the mountain. He couldn't go into the promised land. Not only did his bones have to stay there, but it shows not, and I'm not giving this as an exact, okay, but a pattern, a representation of who is on the throne, okay? Because Moses, by him having to stay on the mountain, he could not go into the promised land, okay? He's still on that mountain. He's up there. Okay? He's up there. He's up there still ruling, because who still follows him? The Jews, by the law of Moses. Okay? So you can look at Moses being on that throne as a, not in an exact, not in a, I'm saying this in a representation. Okay? The fact that he had to stay on the mountain and could not cross the promised land. Okay? And he was their leader. And how the story of Moses portrays out, it tells you who he is. Okay? It tells you who he is. So you can look at it that way. He is the real deal, but he is a he's not the whole deal. Okay? Or he's not the, he's the real deal, but he may not be the deal. Does that make sense? Okay? Because we all know he loved the Israelites and what he did for them, right? So that's him staying on that mountain. That's what that represents. And he could not, another reason, another layer why he could not lead the Israelites into the promised land was because that would have meant that the Jews today are in, could have gone into the promised land through the law of Moses and not through the blood of Jesus. Okay? So, the promised land is the milk and honey. It's the gold. Okay? I mean, you have your paradise, you have your, and actually, they were going, when they crossed those waters, I mean, in the wilderness, that's where God split. That's where he got the dross out, okay? And that's where he taught. That's where the teaching was. That's where it's make it or break it is. It's in the wilderness at the base of that mountain, okay? And that will be up there. That will be up there, because what you're going to have is you have the Old Testament like Israelites, okay? Picture that. But you have Jesus and the disciples going around healing those that are blind and those that are deaf and those that are crippled. Okay, so let's look at this picture. That, them, healing them. Okay, the ones that were blind and were deaf and were whatever. So you have up there, you have the disciples and Jesus, right? You have them doing the healing to them, okay? But they are walking around, right? Doing exactly what they did then. But how many didn't recognize him? There's your other key. How many didn't recognize him? They didn't know who he was. See, now we're going to have that again. Jesus has to go around to see who recognizes the Son of God. Understand? Or to recognize him again, because I'm telling you, it's the beast in him. There's the two. Okay? He already came as man. He was born through man. He came through man, and the Christ is a spirit, right? Yeah, of course. He already came in the flesh as man, as the Son of Man. Now he's going to come as the Son of God, right? Or not in the flesh. He'll be the Son of Man, but like not. You know what I'm saying? He's going to have that lion. He's going to have the face of Judah. He's going to have the face of the lion. It's the beast. It's the beast face. Okay? And people it's going to be this again. Well, who do you think I am? Because they're not going to recognize him. Just as the Jews did not recognize him as the Son of Man, the Christians are not going to recognize him as the Son of God up there at the base of the mountain in paradise. Okay? They are not going to. And this is why this is so important. And I tell you to file this, okay? Because when Jesus comes up to you and says, who do you think I am? Are you going to recognize who that is? There's your silver and there's your gold. Okay? So, there's your 40 days. There's your shaking. Remember the shaking I said that those 40 days of the shaking? This is your harvest. This is how they're harvesting, okay? And so you're going to have to be taught this. Your eyes, you're going to have to be healed, okay? You're going to have to be healed. You're going to have to be made to see, okay? He's going to have to heal your sight and heal your hearing. And this is the whole name of the game, okay? This is how how it goes. Now, where was I before I went there? Where was I before I went there? Oh, Moses on the mountain. And that's how these two have to be. All this is brought in. All of it. All of this is brought together like this. Okay? So, okay, it's 52 minutes. I'm going to end this. I'm going to continue it on next one. I mean, it's so good I can't even take it. I love you guys. See you soon. I'll do another video.